blanketed the land. I went to Manus because I lived very near 74th Street when Manus was on the east side. And I was busy doing a lot of off-Broadway. And by off-Broadway, I mean New Haven, Connecticut. And I couldn't read music. So here was a music school, and I was working as a secretary, and I thought, I'll just go take a sight reading course. Somehow I was talked into taking a whole program, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. So I enrolled. I hadn't really always wanted to go to music school. We needed each other. My first year at Manus was extremely challenging. I remember going to a theory class and being asked to play 1-4-5-1 in the key of C, and I had no idea what they were speaking of. The real turning point was working with this amazing teacher named Sebastian Engelberg. When I started working with him, then I started joining the opera program, and we had on the faculty people like Felix Popper, Thomas Martin. We had these amazing, amazing musicians. We did these funny, funny productions that were $50. That's all I remember. And we had to somehow put it together with $50. Like one production we did was, it was a Menotti opera called The Medium. So we had a fortune teller's curtain, which was made out of painted macaroni on strings. And I remember coming in and one of the strings caught under my arm so it went all over. And every time you stepped on it, it would go crunch, 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 crunch. So, I mean, there were very funny times. And I went through the Metropolitan Opera auditions. That's how I got going. And it was because of Mr. Engelberg encouraging me and Betsy Aaron and all the faculty saying, go for it, that I did it. There was nothing here then, no houses, no fences, just the open prairie. I'm so honored to be part of this series, An American Songbook, and so honored to be singing this piece again by Ricky Ian Gordon called A Coffin in Egypt. It's the story of a woman reflecting back on her life, and it was a very hard life, married to a man who had mistress after mistress after mistress. We find her in her 90s, just going over her life and not being able to give up the fury that she has towards her husband who mistreated her. At the very end, she kind of gets this idea from listening to this beautiful gospel choir, which is throughout the piece, and thinks, forgive, forgive. Is all there is to see, the song of Christ is all there is to hear. Really, the core of this piece is around this magnificent 4 singers, gospel singers. They're either graduates or current students at Manus. I've never heard such great voices. It's a very different scene than it was when I sang. What I admire and respect of the young artists is they're really willing to do all kinds of things. They'll try something. They'll create their own series because it's too beautiful to be neglected, and it does too much for the human spirit.